A human chain. This is stretching across Iran tonight as Iranians are linking arms. This is a dramatic show of defiance against the U.S.
And the clock is ticking. President Trump is threatening to destroy Iranian civilization if a deal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz is not reached by 8 o'clock tonight. That warning is triggering swift global reaction, including from Pope Leo, who is calling the threat truly unacceptable.
Julie Sirkin leads us off tonight from Washington.
The countdown is on to President Trump's 8 o'clock deadline tonight for Iran to open the Strait of Hormuz or else. This morning, Trump escalating his threat, writing on Truth Social, a whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. The president on Monday insisting he doesn't want to do it, but he will.
I mean, complete demolition by 12 o'clock.
Democrats condemning that talk. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer posting this is an extremely sick person, and Republicans own the consequences if they vote for the war. Even former Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, once a strong Trump ally, suggesting he should be removed from office, writing 25th Amendment, not a single bomb has dropped on America. We cannot kill an entire civilization. This is evil and madness. Despite the harsh rhetoric from Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance claims U.S. and Iran are talking.
There's going to be a lot of negotiation between now and then, and I'm hopeful that it gets to a good resolution.
But the strikes are unrelenting. The U.S. attacking Karg Island again overnight, where Iran holds 90% of its oil exports. But officials say only military targets were hit. 20% of the world's oil moves through the Strait of Hormuz and has been stuck there for weeks, leading to soaring gas prices around the globe.
It's just kind of outrageous how much it's jumped recently. And it just seems to be going up every other day.
For one small business owner, the high prices have ended her dream.
I have not posted anymore on Instagram. Unfortunately, my company has lasted 4 months, and that's it. I'm not taking any more orders.
Before the war, the average cost for a gallon of gas was $2.98. Now, 6 weeks in, AAA says it's $4.14 for a gallon of gas. Under international law, targeting civilian infrastructure is considered a war crime. But two U.S. officials tell NBC News the Pentagon had presented President Trump with dual-use targets, meaning targets like the power plants and bridges that he's talking about could be used by civilians and by the military. So technically avoiding the definition of a war crime. In Washington, Julie Sirkin, NBC News.
So as the conflict intensifies, there's a local expert on the region who right now shares with 13 News they're highly concerned.
Ella Rhodes joins us now. She spoke with an IU International Studies and Political Science professor who focuses on U.S.-Iran relations.
Yeah, Professor Hussein Banai actually left Iran when he was 15 years old, so he has personal and educated expertise on the conflict.
Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, the world will be watching. President Trump posted the deadline on Truth Social about power plant and bridge day, all wrapped up in one for Iran. A threat IU professor Hussein Banai takes seriously.
Very ominous. It's, I don't think when you give the exact time that you're necessarily bluffing given how many times previously you've moved the goalposts.
Banai, who teaches international studies with a focus on U.S.-Iran relations, says the two countries are in uncharted territory.
It's very disturbing to me that this is a war in a way that does not have congressional legitimacy behind it. It makes it so much more convenient, I have to say, also for the enemies of the United States, for this Islamic regime in Iran to point and say this is an illegitimate war.
President Trump posted Tuesday morning saying a whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again.
It puts American troops in danger if you're, telegraphing to the other side that you're about to annihilate their country. Well, you just gave them license to act in all manner of apocalyptic.
Banai thinks the U.S. and Israel could have different end goals in Iran.
The United States simply has not signed on to that goal because regime change really would require American boots on the ground. Minimum 250,000, as much as 500,000 American soldiers to be able to effectively change the regime in Iran.
He fears this could turn into a forever war for the U.S.
The tensions with Iran will continue to be there. And the U.S. basically adopts a whack-a-mole approach that it'll just periodically bomb.
Benai believes before the conflict started, Iran's government showed signs for potential change. Now, he still has family and friends there, but his communication with them is very limited. They only get internet service about, very limited. So it's about 30 to 45 seconds at a time that they do get internet service. So he really only hears that they're okay and where they're at.
Oh, that's so concerning, and especially when you don't have a good line of communication.
Yeah, I appreciate you giving us that perspective from someone who has real ties there. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, today we also heard from Indiana lawmakers on both sides of the aisle about the threat ahead of the 8 p.m. deadline. And we have posted what they shared with us and what they have to say about this right now online for you at WTHR.com.
Back home, the economic impact of the Iran conflict is continuing to grow. Economists say rising fuel prices are now being felt beyond the pump.
Ashton Hackman now shows us how a local business is already adjusting just to keep up.
At Tiffany Lawn and Garden on Indy's northwest side, rising fuel costs have left owner Matt Lohmeyer searching for ways to cover costs.
Obviously we don't take these things lightly.
In just over a month, diesel prices jumped from $3.80 to $5.11 a gallon, an increase of more than 30%. Tiffany Lawn and Garden now adds a 15% fuel surcharge on all mulch deliveries, telling customers they've absorbed the rising costs for more than 30 days, but unfortunately can no longer continue to do so.
We've absorbed it up to this point, but I think it's fair to our customers and I think it's fair to us to be able to find the middle ground, which is what we've attempted to do here.
And it likely won't stop at landscaping.
They have to make money. They can't deliver services and goods and lose money, otherwise they go bankrupt. So this is where we find ourselves with this sudden spike in oil prices.
In Indianapolis, Ashton Hackman, 13 News.
Economists say overall inflation could also be on the way up. Powell said it could jump as high as 4% in the next few weeks. Ahead here at 6, hear from a local business who is having now to add a fee for customers to get the job done. Also, coverage continues ahead tonight on the NBC Nightly News with Tom Yamas, taking a closer look at the president's threat, the 8 p.m. deadline, and the impact of the conflict. The coverage continues here at 6:30. Angela?
Anne-Marie, lots of sunshine, but as expected, it is a much cooler day. We have clear skies over Crawfordsville in Montgomery County. Not a cloud to be found from this vantage point. Similar setup with bright blue sky over Bloomington. There's a view of the IU campus. We'll take you to our north side camera where we do have clear skies, but it looks warmer than it feels. The only 50, well, we have a couple. Bloomington 53, Terre Haute 50, everybody else in the 40s. 48 degrees right now in Indianapolis, Muncie at 44. These temperatures down about 10 degrees from this time yesterday. So if you're coming downtown, we've got baseball in town. We've got basketball in town. It is definitely jacket weather. We'll spend the evening in the 40s. Just how low we go tonight and more on a few areas under another freeze warning in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Angela. And tonight, one person is in critical condition after a shooting at an apartment complex on the northeast side of Indy. Metro Police telling us the shooting happened around 9 o'clock this morning near 42nd and North Sherman Drive. Officers did detain a person at the scene, but are continuing to investigate what happened. Tonight, we're getting a look at new efforts to bring affordable housing to the city's east side.
Two churches now working together to turn vacant land into new homes for families with lower incomes. And this is a push that comes right now as Central Indiana is dealing with an increase in eviction rates.
Our Matthew Foltz went to the east side to learn how pastors are bringing new opportunities to the places where they preach.
Are you doing both the sanctuary and the banquet hall the same day?
Michaela Mack spends most of her days helping customers.
I'm actually ordering the stairs today as well too.
She's working hard, hoping to save up for her first home.
By the time I'm 35, I will want to be on my own.
The almost 30-year-old has lived on the city's east side her entire life under one roof.
My mom was young when she had me, and I've been with my grandma all my life. And my grandma's my best friend, so I just stayed.
Now her dream of moving out may be here sooner than she thinks, thanks to a new housing project.
We're looking to develop 20 homes here on this property or even more as we lay out the details of this.
Pastor Ken Sullivan of New Direction Church and Pastor Joy Thornton of St. Mark Baptist Church are now teaming up to make Mac's dream and others a reality. They're working to transform about 5 acres of land near 38th and Leslie Avenue into brand new affordable homes.
The property here has kind of been unkept and neglected for a little bit of time, and the house behind us is one of the homes that will be demoed as we build and bring in new fresh development.
The push comes as Marion County reportedly had over 19,000 evictions last year.
We want to raise the property value here in our community, and we want people to really take ownership of their community.
Pastor Sullivan also says they will build a community garden for the neighborhood and that the project will be funded by a local bank. It's a project Mac and others can't wait to see come to life.
Give me the opportunity to go out to live on my own instead of staying at home with my grandmother.
An opportunity to start fresh along 38th Street. Reporting here on Indy's East Side, I'm Matthew Foltz, 13 News.
Pastor Sullivan says he hopes the first units will be built by next summer. We're going to have more info about housing resources at WTHR.com.
The Damian Center and Congressman Andre Carson now coming together to highlight a major investment in housing and health care in our city. The Democratic congressman joined leaders from the Damian Center today to announce more than $13 million in federal funding for local projects. $850,000 will go toward expanding specialized housing for underserved, low-income and older adults, some of them living with HIV. The Damian Center says the funding will support its housing as healthcare model that connects stable housing with better health outcomes.
And so permanent supportive housing creates that stability for a vulnerable group of people in our community and provides the wraparound support and the supportive services to help make them successful by living long-term in an apartment or house.
Leaders say this investment will provide units for 30 households for 5 years.